Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel Learn with Virali. I'm Virali, your guide on this PMP adventure. If you are new to my channel, I'm Virali, a certified PMP professional helping people to pass their PMP exams on the very first try. So if you're not subscribed to my channel yet, please make sure to subscribe as it helps me to create more such kind of videos and offer help to the community. In today's video, I'm gonna talk about the recent PMBOK 8th edition that was released in November 2025 and what has changed in terms of PMBOK 7th edition, which is gonna be used until July of 2026 for all the PMP exams that will be conducted. And stay tuned until the end of the video just so that you can get all the resources, the tips and the tricks in case if you're taking the exam until July 2026 or after. So let's get started. So if you have searched anything in the last few weeks about PMBOK 8th edition over the internet, you might have found a lot of panic along with a good set of discussion topics given certain changes that were introduced in PMBOK 8th edition which weren't introduced in any of the editions that we had before with PMBOK. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about what has changed, what things you need to be careful about if you're taking the exam in 2026 with a clear and a concise resource path that you can follow in case if you are taking the exam this year, just so that you can pass your exam at the very first try. So here is what we are covering today. First, why PMBOK 8th edition even exists, which is because the context matters more before we get into the changes. The second thing is the 5 specific things that will be actually changed. I'm going to be concrete and I'm not going to be giving any set of vague summaries. On the third point, we'll be talking about what did not change because this part matters more in case if you are in middle of your preparation for the upcoming PMP exam. And the fourth one is the question that I get a lot, which is should I take my PMP exam before July 2026 or after it? So let's dive into it. So before we get into the changes, let us understand why did PMI release PMBOK 8th edition, because it did not come out of nowhere, right? So when PMI released PMBOK 6 back in 2017, it was very prescriptive in comparison to the processes that we had, like 49 processes that were supposed to be followed step by step in case if you are working as a project manager, what would happen on a certain case scenario. So basically it was very prescriptive and we did knew what to do when. But then later in 2021, PMBOK 7 was introduced by PMI, which was again a massive shift. So they moved away from all that we had in PMBOK 6th edition and went almost entirely abstract. Principles only, performance domains only, no specific process list. That is what we did follow during our PMP exams earlier if we were giving it based on PMBOK 7, which is still the students who are currently following or giving the exams until July 2026. And the feedback then was coming in from global project management community, which was not very great. So practitioners did say that this is too vague. We do not have a set structure that we can follow, or if we can highlight or outline what are the actual steps, that would be great. So PMI listened to that feedback and PMBOK 8 is the response to that feedback. So they have brought back a practical structure which is going to allow us to have a structured formatted process that we used to follow during our PMBOK 6th edition with a clear guidance. So that's where PMBOK 8th edition was introduced. So you can think of it in a way like PMBOK 6 was a detailed instruction manual, PMBOK 7 was a philosophy book, and then PMBOK 8 is kind of trying to be best of both worlds. Okay, so now let me walk you through what has actually changed. The first one that I have here is the structure is back. Second, the number of principles went from 12 to 6, which is showing us it being more sharp and more actionable. Number 3 is the performance domains went from 8 to 7. Fourth one is definitely since we are in the world of AI, so AI in project management is now explicitly covered for the very first time. And the fifth one is sustainability has been added as a real section. So let's go in detail for each of these points. So change number 1, the structure is back. In PMBOK 7, there was no process list. So you had like 12 principles and 8 performance domains, and that was actually a lot. A lot of people, especially coming in from PMBOK's 6th edition practice, felt lost. So in PMBOK's 8th edition, PMI introduced 5 focus areas. So these actually replace the old ones, as in the old process groups which we had, which we termed it as initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, and controlling, and at the end, definitely closing the project. So that you already know. But these were embedded with 5 focus areas and 40 non-prescriptive process lists. So basically, the structure is back, but it is designed this time to work across all the 3 models, which is predictive, agile, and hybrid environments, and not definitely just the waterfall model. What this means practically is, if you felt that PMBOK 7 was too abstract, PMBOK 8 gives you the guidance in terms of what was missing before and how you can proceed in terms of a clear path or a guidance. But if you like PMBOK 7's flexibility, that is still there. So it's not either or anymore, it's kind of combining both. So change number 2 is the change in number of principles. In PMBOK 7, we had 12 principles, but PMBOK 8 reduces it to 6. So these are looking like significantly less to remember and more actionable. The 12 principles in PMBOK 7 were good in theory, but it definitely did felt more abstract in practice. The 6 in PMBOK 8th edition are clearly more tighter, more clearer, and more direct, tied to real project decisions. So you can think it of these 6 principles like going from a long list of guidelines to a short set of rules that you can follow and actually remember it more better in comparison to remembering those 12 that we had in PMBOK 7. Now coming towards the third change, which is in terms of the domain. So PMBOK 7 had 8 domains and PMBOK 8 has 7 domains. It's kind of interchangeably correct. So I want to be really clear here, as this is not something which can be considered as a dramatic change, given the domains have just been reorganized and clarified, but the underlying principles do remain the same. So if you understood PMBOK 7 domains, you are not starting from zero. Instead, you are adjusting it and updating towards the newly introduced content. That's it. All right, so let's look at change number 4. Change number 4 is particularly very interesting, which is the introduction of AI in the world of project management, which is definitely interesting to see how PMs or how project managers are shaping themselves with the help of PM framework, introducing AI, which is going to help us to automate the routine plannings, to have risk management to be done properly, analyzing it at the very first place, and how PMs should definitely approach AI projects if they are working on one of them. So this is not being introduced as a threat, but rather as a tool with the proper framework. So that's very interesting. And the change number 5 here is sustainability, which is again introduced for the very first time in PMBOK 8, which was a long overdue. So AI has been shaping how projects are delivered from planning towards delivery in case, which is introducing much more sustainability in this case, which is introduced for the very first time. Quite interesting over here. Now let me talk about what did not change, because I have read through many different Reddit threads wherein people were kind of frustrating understanding that whatever I have read so far is useless and my effort is not kind of really what matters now, given we have PMBOK's 8th edition. So let me help you understand what did not change. Now, the things in terms of stakeholder engagement, in terms of communication, in terms of risk management, in terms of scope, schedule, cost, have not been changed and are not going to change. So the good project fundamentals still remain in the place, and the language or the way it is being presented or structured is going to be a little bit updated, but still the underlying fundamentals remain the same. So what PMBOK 8 edition helps us to understand is definitely the language and the structure of these principles and the framework around those fundamentals, not changing entirely the fundamentals themselves. So the PMP credential is definitely not going to be changed. In a way, if you are taking the exam before July 2026 or after, it is still going to be the same, given you will be holding on to the principles as far as the fundamentals are clear, but only the language surrounding those fundamentals are going to be structured in a little bit more updated manner in comparison to what we had so far now. Okay, so now the question that I get the most is, should I be taking the exam before July 2026 or after? So here is my honest take on this one. I wanted to explain this with the help of two different scenario sets. Scenario 1, wherein you would be taking your exam given you are already studying and already in the middle of your preparation, so you can make sure that you complete the exam before July 8 of 2026, which is until when PMBOK's 7th edition is going to be considered for different questions that you will be seeing in your PMP exam. So make sure you act fast, and you are already in the middle of your preparation, so you do not need to waste all the time and effort that was invested while preparing for this PMP exam. So make sure to act fast and get it completed. For the ones who are recently starting or are at day 0 and haven't bought any materials yet, I would recommend to wait until PMI releases the new materials in April of 2026, which is where you will get more updated version of applying those PM frameworks, which is where you would be studying or investing a little longer time in comparison to if you would do it with PMBOK 7, given there are certain new things that have changed and would be added newly towards PMBOK's 8th edition. So if you're at day 0, then it definitely makes sense to wait for another month and start your preparation in April when the new materials are out or released by PMI. But the worst part that I would say here would be to sit and wait to see what goes on, understand different people's viewpoints, and do not prepare anything or take the exam at all. So make sure you act accordingly based on where you are in your preparation rather than just relying on some vague summaries or different viewpoints. So quick recap before I let you go. So first, the structure is back, which is 5 focus areas and 40 processes. Second, the principles have been reduced from 12 to 6 in new PMBOK's 8th edition. Third, the domains have been reduced from 8 to 7. Fourth is AI has been introduced towards project management. And fifth is the PMBOK 8th edition talking about sustainability, which helps us from planning to delivery in a different manner. So we did discuss about two different things alongside, which is whether you should take the exam as of July 8 or before July 8, 2026, and what would be the circumstances if you are planning to take it after July 8, 2026. So if this video was helpful, even a little bit, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, as I'm going to be coming up with detailed discussions in terms of each of the new processes that were introduced, the 5 focus areas, and also be coming up with mock exam question sets for 2026, as in any aspirants who are taking the exam during this year would be finding it helpful, along with every AI project manager, the kind of AI tools that they should be aware of as a part of the next few videos. So stay tuned and I'll see you in the next video.